Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another segment of Diversity Now. My name is Deja Stewart.
My name is Delasbour.
I'm Dara.
And today we are joined with Officer Michael Stewart of the Hampton University Police Force. Thank you for joining us today.
You've been here for a few segments now and just spent a lot of knowledge. What's a few things that you'd just like to add so we can just get a better picture of your views on police brutality?
Well, the only thing that I would add to the ongoing issue of police brutality is that there is a nationwide effort in fixing those wrongs and ensuring that officers receive appropriate training, that they would be more knowledgeable and more well equipped to police within a diverse community.
And what do you think is the most common misconception among the community with their, with their local police officers that they interact with? Not necessarily on a daily basis, but when police interaction is necessary or called for.
There's a big misunderstanding on appropriate use of force. I think the community would do well to take advantage of opportunities to learn what those levels of force are and why an officer would utilize a high level of force for a particular type of an occurrence. And then of course there is this notion that all police officers are bad, and that's not true. There is only one commonality with all officers, and that is that they are human beings.
So what do you have to say? So for example, I'm going through a situation back home. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I have a family member who is on the Houston Police Force who was just diagnosed with PTSD, and he was a Marine. So with that being said, do you think that officers that, now he's never been in trouble, he's never done anything out of the ordinary, never got, inappropriate use of force, any of that. But do you think with situations like that, officers who've been on the forces for years, do you think that the government should do a better job as far as checking situations like that earlier on? Or, because I mean, he's been on the force for, I think, 8 to 10 years now. So do you think the government should do a better job as far as checking situations like that earlier on in their career?
Well, to be honest with you, that's a hard one to gauge, because in many instances, the government don't know up front if a person has been diagnosed with PTSD, whether they are prior military or a citizen of the community. PTSD is brought about through traumatic events, and whether you're in the military or not, a lot of times that is not known up front for the government to be able to take a proactive role. I think now through research and studies, they are beginning to do that. They're beginning to identify those risk factors and try to provide the resources and the support that one would benefit from.
So you mentioned earlier about community policing. So do you think that the current police force system is too militarized, or do you think that the government needs to take a more proactive role in local police force and enforcing community policing among all local police across the country?
Well, when you look at the President's task force on 21st Century Police, there's a guideline that has been put out that, of course, it would be ideal if all agencies, local law enforcement agencies, would follow those guidelines. And the challenge is being able to match appropriate policing with the level of threat that an officer can come upon. As we know, many of our citizens who are of a criminal nature have access to weaponry that we don't.
Exactly.
Clearly, I mean, because we have rules in place that says that you cannot have this, but there's no rule in place for the criminal to say you can't use that.
Exactly.
And so how do you find that happy medium to where your policing is effective enough that it involves your community in helping to eradicate these criminal problems?
Well, this has been a very informative segment of Diversity Now, and I just want to thank Officer Stewart for joining us today. and informing all of our college students, not only at Hampton University, but across the country, about how we can positively enforce community policing among our university police tasks. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.